It is the Riot Podcast. I feel like we just had it's not Friday, it's Thursday discussion.
But you ready for one again?
Yeah.
Well, it's not Friday, it's Thursday.
I know I'm sleeping, but it feels like it's just one long stream of consciousness.
Yeah, and I know it's going to be like that. I mean, we have next week, then we're going to be off
Huge
for
break.
Christmas.
Nikki and I are taking so much time off.
Woo!
Worst of Riot 2018, though. You'll still get podcasts every day except for Christmas and New Year's Day.
Actually, let's make a note for tomorrow. And then if you're listening to this podcast, you might hear some of them. But why don't we ask people their favorite moments of 2018 from the show so that we can make sure it's included in it? Did you already do it?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
What do you mean, come on?
No, I meant just the timing, not come on you, but like, oh, come on. Why didn't we think about that?
I mean, here I am. I work ahead. I'm getting ready.
But you get what I mean? Like,
I do.
I wish you would have thought about that.
I get it. I do.
Okay, let's say it this way. I'm sure whatever someone was going to message in and tell us what they thought would have been a great thing to include is already included.
You know what? I'll tell you this. I still have 2 days left.
Okay.
So if you guys want to get some requests in, go for it. And I'll try to squeeze them in towards the end. But I took time yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to knock this out. I built a database with file names, file lengths, and which was your request, by the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I need that.
Then I also wrote paragraphs so that they'd be ready for upload. Like, I mean, I got it ready.
Hey, first off, good job. Like, way to go. But darn it. That would have been fun to do.
Oh, my gosh. It's so funny that, like, yes, I take initiative, and it's like, why did you take initiative?
You weren't supposed to take initiative till Monday.
Sorry. Oh, look, Nikki, there it is. We just got our first Nicki Minaj text of the morning.
Here we go. So let's just start.
Oh, no, that's a fake one. Never mind.
It's the troll trolling.
Yeah, it was the troll trolling the troll. Okay. Anyway.
In this podcast,
you're going to hear about my ideas for fashion changes, Aquaman versus Superman, more Nicki Minaj talk, Fred Meyer, cheap gifts for gamers, exotic animals and you, porch piracy, baby, it's cold outside. We haven't talked about it at all, but I finally have developed my baby, it's cold outside theory a little bit, so I had to talk about it.
He dives into that, so you're going to enjoy this in the podcast. Make sure you join us at riot.radiou.com. There you'll find our Radio U Riot Facebook page and YouTube channel, so you can subscribe and follow us at more places for more content.
All right. Anything else?
More.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
The Worst of the Riot box set is now available nowhere because we know you wouldn't want it anyway. It's the Worst of the Riot on Radio U.
Okay.
Are you updating me on something?
I am, as a matter of fact. We've been telling you guys that the radio station's getting just spammed by Nicki Minaj people.
Well, basically, and it's not just us, we found out, because we use a texting service. So when you text us, we have software and stuff, and we can read your messages and reply back to you. So whenever we say, if you want to text us to request 8772 Radio U, you're actually texting into us. Like, we get those messages.
We do. So yesterday, like in between shifts, I'm in the studio and the phone rings. Oh, well, back it up. We don't play Nicki Minaj, but we're getting hundreds of requests a day for Nicki Minaj.
I still think it's because if you go to our site and stuff, you see the word Nicki. Like that's my name and that's a part of it. So they think, oh, well, we must have her in rotation.
So yesterday, in between shifts, I'm just sitting in here.
Yeah.
The phone rings. So, of course, what do? Answer it. And it's a lady calling.
It's not a real one. Is it?
Like,
how can they do this
to me?
Why? And did you ask her?
Well, the thing is that then when I got off the phone, I was like, no! I finally had my chance!
Why didn't you ask her?
And she's like, will you play Nicki Minaj? And I was like, well, here's the thing. We don't play Nicki Minaj. And it got dead quiet. And she's like, wait, why not? I was like, because that's just not, we just don't play her. We don't play her. And she was just like, what about Lil Wayne?
That's the other one.
Yeah,
because he's
I was
in
like,
there.
no. She's like, you don't play any Lil Wayne songs? I was like, no. She was just like, I mean, it was literally just like, I don't know what to do. And she hung up. And then I was like, no, I could have asked. I could have said, dead. I could have been like, wait.
Who sent
are
you?
you? Who sent you?
That's the biggest mistake you've ever made.
Man.
The biggest.
So
basically,
stupid. It was just like if I could just have those 30 seconds back.
Like our bands will do that too, but just not on this.
Like their families.
Not this next level where they'll send a street team or they'll be like, okay, call these stations and request it, or they use bots to send text messages and then the bots also to leave voicemails. So it's been crazy.
It has been crazy.
And that's why I'm going through and blocking all of them.
Man, I'm telling you what, I just want...
But you cannot block a bot because it just goes around other numbers.
I just want one more of those phone calls that I can answer.
Well,
That's
fingers crossed today.
Yeah, and I know what's going to happen now. Somebody's going to be like, I'll fix it, and you'll call... No, I need the real one.
You need a legitimate one. You could have asked where... We could have found the source.
We could have found out. I know, it's
like
just...
what street team, what leader...
It's like having a dream that you won the lottery and you know the numbers, and then you wake up and, of course, you don't play because you don't play the lottery. And then you could have won $400 billion. That's what I feel like.
And you forgot to ask.
The Riot.
Apparently, some of the less athletic types go nuts for this stuff.
Radio U.
It's always weird to see something happen in the news and you're familiar with the place that it happened. You're like, I've been there.
Well, normally it's not your town or city unless it's local news.
You're like, exactly. You're like, hey, it's something weird, whatever. So here was a guy that Fred Meyer. Fred Meyer is a West Coast thing. I don't know how far into California it goes, but it's definitely in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. That I know for certain because I've been to, it's a weird statement, but I've been to Fred Meyer's in every one of those.
Sure,
states.
yeah.
Okay. So, and I've been to this Fred Meyer. An Oregon guy has been jailed for 5 years for, it says, randomly punching a female Fred Meyer worker earlier this year in an unprovoked attack.
You just punched the person?
But
didn't know them or anything? Not like that makes it any better, but just a stranger.
This guy's name is Hathasone. He is 45. He attacked Lisa, 33, in April of this year. He just walked up to her and punched her. Like, no warning, no anything, just boom.
That must have been so scary.
He then tried to run away, but a bunch of people held him down and waited out. Here's what's crazy. Here she is. That was in April. It's December. So what? Let's say 7 to 8 months later. She has a permanent dent in her cheek where she got punched.
Oh, my gosh.
So she's actually going to have reconstructive surgery to fix it.
At first, when you said 5 years, right?
Yeah, he's going to jail for 5 years.
I thought, well, that's an awful lot. But now as it unveils and unravels, it maybe does not.
It does seem like a lot because it's just one of those weird things where I don't understand criminal justice that well because this guy gets 5 years and then other people are like, I killed 10 people and I went to jail for a week.
But we don't know his past record, too.
We don't.
It seems like maybe he has other priors.
Yeah. Well, he's got 5 years. He, during the trial, apologized to her and said he still doesn't know why he did it. He just did it. And you know, the thing is, like, just out in regular society, you're not expecting somebody to hit you. You wouldn't be ready for that. You're just at work, stocking shelves, or I don't even know what, at Fred Meyer, and this lady is just like, or this guy's like, boom!
But you've been to this Fred Meyer?
I have been to that Fred Meyer. And I just want to say a big what's up to Lisa, the lady that was punched. In the interview segment that I'm watching her in here, she's wearing a Mass Effect hoodie.
Oh, really?
What?
Okay, well, that's something.
Hey, you know what? If
you're little things, I know.
If you're going to have a big dimple in the side of your face, you might as well have a Mass Effect hoodie to go with it.
That's true.
Actually, you might as well have a Mass Effect hoodie to go with it no matter what.
Ever grab milk right out of the fridge to pour in your cereal, only to realize that your stupid roommate left an empty carton in the fridge? That emptiness is nothing compared to how you're about to feel. It's the worst of the riot on Radio U.
There are many people that believe if hell had a soundtrack, track one would be Justin Bieber's Baby, Baby, Baby. But I want you to know, things have changed.
There's something else?
There is. Now, track one would be the 2018 Rewind on YouTube. So as of earlier this week, we were talking about how Justin Bieber's Baby, is it just Baby? Or is it Baby, Baby? Let's just say Baby.
Song.
Okay, so the Babes had it was the #1 dislike video on YouTube of all time.
And I mean, that song's been out for a while, so you had a lot of years.
A long time.
A lot of years to get the dislikes on it.
8 years.
Yeah.
Is how long that song has been out. YouTube's Rewind video has been out less than 2 weeks, and as of very early morning hours today, it is now the most disliked video on YouTube.
That
it
is
has
impressive.
10 million dislikes to Justin Bieber's 9.8 million dislikes.
10 million in 2 weeks compared to, again, Justin Bieber for many years.
Now, in fairness, Nikki, you could say that the YouTube
Culture
user base has grown a great deal in the last 8 years.
That's true.
So it may be a bit unfair. And so I just want to go ahead and lead the charge on getting Justin Bieber back to number one.
So you want to go back and thumbs down that one?
I don't think I ever disliked that video.
Well, now
so
you can.
I guess I need to slide over there and do that.
And we
right?
talked about earlier when they were going back and forth on like, would the rewind video get more dislikes? It becomes almost kind of like a badge of honor, like there are people still watching it, so that's a catch. Like, how many views does the rewind thing have? Is that more than normal? But people don't like it, but people are still watching it.
See, I feel like as a third-party person, like Justin Bieber saying, I have the most dislikes on YouTube, that is a badge of honor. When the what do you call it? The provider itself, like YouTube itself, has the most disliked video, they're not going around bragging about that.
Well, at least they're keeping it in the family. It's in-house.
That is fair. That is fair.
But I feel like, well, what would the person who made that one, like what company made Rewind this year? Are they like, oh, man, it's now the most disliked?
It is interesting at times to just see a piece of content that is released that just completely fails to connect with its target. Like, completely fails. Most content, it doesn't connect, but nobody cares.
Sure.
It doesn't care. It just disappears. But for it to hit that space where it's like, not only does it not connect, but it has driven people to anger and whatever.
Annoyance to click the dislike button.
And I'll bet you the people that made it were like, man, this is great. Like, you guys have really, man, great work, everybody.
Good job.
High fives all around.
Will Smith's in it. We got other stuff. But...
I mean, we got the YouTube account, and if this works out, we're going to be making all kinds of videos for them.
And not anymore.
Dang it, man.
Unless Justin Bieber wants your help.
Oh, you mean to get more dislikes?
Yeah, no, like to make a new video.
Yeah. He needs a wedding video. He's married now.
Did you know the Riot can help you see into the future? Every time Obadiah says he likes a show, impress all your friends by correctly predicting it will be canceled by the end of the year.
Canceled. What are you talking about? It's not funny.
Works every time. It's the Riot on RadioU.
I know that this is the way the game is played, okay? I totally get it. But Aquaman comes out next week.
Yes.
But Into the Spider-Verse comes out tomorrow.
So what is Into the Spider-Verse?
Into the Spider-Verse is an animated Spider-Man movie.
Okay.
And I will tell you something that I have long thought is that we should do, as Americans, like, we should be more open to animated movies. Because something
in theaters,
like...
or?
Yeah, because something like Into the Spider-Verse, which, again, it's an animated Spider-Man movie, dude... You couldn't, that's the way to tell a Spider-Man story. Like, it'll be fantastic because, with animation, you need a budget, but there are so many things they can do with animation that you just can't do with people.
Sure.
And so I'm looking forward to the idea of an animated Spider-Man movie. That being said, I feel like I have almost completely forgotten about that movie. It has disappeared from my radar as far as articles, ads, whatever. I'm seeing nothing for the Spider-Man movie.
But that's tomorrow?
Which is out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'm being inundated with Aquaman stuff, which is next week.
Even though, remember, we're still, we haven't been inundated at all with Bumblebee, and that's,
Also next week.
Also next week, and there was one other thing, too, so... It depends. I don't know what... I feel like the big movies for this Christmas, we're still not seeing as much as we used to.
Right. Nikki, I think you and I just need to take the day.
And go see all of them?
And go see all the movies next Friday.
I was reading some of the reviews on Aquaman, and I would still pick... Oh, Mary Poppins. That was the other one. Out of all of them, I would still pick Aquaman.
Yeah, the reviews have been mixed. You hear some people that are saying, like, no, it's really good.
Aquaman.
I feel like the thing I'm getting from Aquaman is everyone expected it to be so bad. And it's not that bad. And as a result, people are like, well...
It's not that bad.
I don't know. It's not that bad.
They say some of it's a little boring, but, the Jason guy who plays Aquaman was actually really good. I believe that. He has a certain charisma, even though he feels like a mix between poor man's Thor and poor man's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, that's what I feel like. Like, he's somewhere in between there. And I guess to an extent, that's not fair to him because, we have certain archetypes that we've seen come out of
movies. He kind of fits into one of those. So maybe, Nikki, I need to really get to know him as a person.
Sure, maybe he's the new version
and
of that.
not just stereotype him as like,
He's
hey,
his
look
own
who
man.
wants to be The Rock. You know? So we should stop. We should stop right now.
Okay. So to go see the movie?
Let's see if we can find a biography of Jason Momoa and get to know him as a man, not as just
There's lots of options to see movies next weekend and like through Christmas, but I'm just not seeing the ads to push them at me. So I need to remember.
And I feel like there's not the one standout movie, because if you go back, the last 2 years, you've had like a Star Wars movie that came out the week before Christmas, and those movies, almost like every single one of them made $1 billion in 2 weeks. So it was like basically no one released anything else because they didn't want to go up against the competition.
Sure, and then like you saw all the branding and the merchandising and the fooding and the...
It was everywhere.
It was so literally that movie felt like it was every single place that you turned to.
I was looking at a throwback image yesterday. I had bananas that had Star Wars stickers on them.
And for Aquaman and Mary Poppins and all that, we're just not seeing... It doesn't inundate our lives, which is, I guess, better.
I was at the grocery store 2 nights ago picking up some coffee. And I know, buying coffee at a grocery store.
But they do what you do.
They were Keurig pods. I know I said something bad again.
What's wrong with you? Don't tell them
that.
that.
Why did I give you those details? Why?
No one needs to know.
Why did I do that?
I was just saying it's for the holidays, for family coming over.
I was at the store the other day. It doesn't matter what I was buying or what kind of store it was.
You overshared. All right. Well, what else did you see?
They had a big Bumblebee display.
Did they?
Everything in the display was 50% off.
Oh, already?
Like, guys, the movie's not even out. Like, give people a chance to hate the movie and then not buy the product.
Well, it seems about right, though.
Yeah.
The worst of the riot. It's like Lucky Charms, but no marshmallows. Radio U.
Now, you might find some holes in my theory, and that's fine, because truth be told, they say talking and thinking are in a lot of ways the same thing. So let's pretend that we're kind of thinking together about this. But here's my theory. There's been a lot of fuss this year, and around the song Baby It's Cold Outside.
Yeah.
Like Nikki just passed me an article about William Shatner, who played the old school Captain Kirk, and now he's like, oh, come on, play the stupid song.
Well, he's mentioning for stuff in Canada, and he's Canadian. So
he is Canadian. So as we all know, we're very, very concerned about what happens in Canada on this show.
We are.
We keep track of Canada.
We have a lot of great Canadian listeners.
A lot of radio stations are like, hey, we're not going to play that song anymore because it's predatory, et cetera, et cetera. And one, they're right. I didn't hear that song ever in my life until a couple of years ago. And the first time I heard it, I was like, wait.
But I read someone's tweet on it, and if you go through the thread, it's less predatory if you actually know the history of the time when it came out and a lot of the things that were in there and what it meant at that time compared to at this time. But you're hearing it in this time, so the tones are taken in that way.
I think that's an excellent point. Like, you're taking modern standards and pushing on an older piece of art, and in that older piece of art, the people at that time received that art a very different way than the people who are receiving it today.
So if you're wanting to hear it in this modern time, it might not be the best because we'll take it in a different way.
That being said, have you ever stopped to ask yourself this question? What makes this a Christmas song? Nothing!
It's just a winter song.
It's not a Christmas song. It's a winter song. Other winter songs include Winter Wonderland, Let It Snow. I mean, you think about
You're right. It's not necessarily a Christmas song.
Here's my theory, though. Do you know why we have all these songs where we're like, oh, hey, this is a Christmas song, but it's not? You need to wind the clock back, 60, 70 years when radio stations started going, oh, we should play some Christmas music. And then they started realizing, you know what, guys? There are like 5 Christmas songs. We've got Jingle Bells, A Silent Night.
So they had to open it up.
And they're like, we got to blow it out a little bit. In fact, you might even go a little bit farther. You get to the place where radio stations start scrambling to be all Christmas.
Yeah.
So what do they need? They need as many songs as they can get their freaking hands on. And so what happens? They're like, does that song mention snow? It's in.
We're playing it.
We're playing that song. We'll take that one right there.
That's a good point. So that's how that developed.
And so over time, all of these songs that are not Christmas songs, you're suddenly like, wait. You remember that song where the guy's like drugging the girl, trying to get her to spend the night against her will? Put that in. We'll take it. It's cold outside. It's cold during Christmas. It's a Christmas song.
So that's some of the history.
Yeah. Well, it's the same kind of boardroom mentality that I always laugh about with Nicki, where I'm like, Nicki, watch this movie. She's a girl. You're a girl.
They
you like
think you're
this
gonna
movie.
love it.
You know what? It's cold outside. It's cold at Christmas. It's a Christmas song. Go. Somebody in a room somewhere is like, whatever.
I need to get you, I feel like it's not quite a gavel, but you need something when you get into that voice.
People don't think. Nobody thinks about anything. Just make it happen. So, yeah, whatever.
Okay, well, now we know a bit more about it.
Well, so a lot of people aren't playing it. And again, I just would challenge you with the thought, like, it's not even a Christmas song anyway. So if you remove the Christmassy tag from it, nobody's listening to that song.
We can't start talking about that because I don't think we'd even have a Christmas channel at that point.
That's where you're wrong, Nikki.
We don't have as many. We have a lot of winter songs, too.
I don't think so.
We do.
I think if you go through the RadioU Christmas channel, it's pretty darn Christmassy.
Ours are more true to that?
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, Peppermint Winter, a stretch. Okay? Okay, that's a stretch. But, like, you know, look, you got Wolves at the Gate, The King. It's an original Christmas song that's about Christmas.
True, the original ones help.
I mean, like, there are a lot of songs on our Christmas channel that are Christmas songs. Actual Christmas songs. So, you know what? I'll tell you what. Your homework, listen to the RadioU Christmas channel and think through whether or not it's a Christmas song or a winter song.
Can someone send us back like a Google Doc and then tell us which ones are which? And then we can have that.
Listen on the app or at RadioU.com.
Worst of the riot, not enough? Not enough. Check the blog and all things Riot at riot.radiou.com.
We've known each other for a while.
We have.
A hot minute.
A long time.
So we can be honest with each other.
Sure.
Now, you probably think that I'm about to say something very rude, quote unquote, honest with you.
Well, normally when you start with that lead in, yes, you're being sarcastic about something.
Well, that's not where I'm at. And don't you feel ashamed for thinking that?
Yeah, right. I'm corrected. Okay.
You should feel
And that's also what you do every time you do that.
You should feel very bad about it. But I want to talk about me for a minute.
Yeah.
Because we spend so much time focused on you and your needs and your wants. It's the Nicki show, practically.
Well, I'm sorry. It is time for you.
Okay. Now.
Yeah.
Like, society has a certain fashion and things go a certain way and whatever. What if I brought Cloaks back?
Cloaks?
Okay, now, I'll just go with me for a minute, all right? Hoodies are a thing.
Yeah.
People wear hoodies all the time, right? What if I wore a cloak instead? Now, of course, a cloak has a hood.
So is that a hoodie cape? Is that what a cloak is?
That's what it is.
Okay.
It's a hoodie cape.
It's a hoodie cape.
All right. But what
capes
if
are not in fashion.
But why not?
It does seem practical, doesn't it?
Very
it does
practical.
Seem wonderful.
You can wrap it around
Free.
you to stay warm, or you can throw it back behind you.
For when you need it later.
For very dramatic moments. I was watching Man of Steel with my dad the other night, and I was watching Superman climb into Zod's like lander when he's taking him up to meet General Zod for the first time, and his cape was just kind of, you know, behind him, and I was like, you know what? Why aren't we wearing capes?
In
Why?
the hoodie part, we need it.
We love the way capes look, and don't tell me that we don't, because if you watch a movie, people are always wearing capes. There's capes all over the place.
No, that's because you're only watching superhero movies. They need it, I assume, to fly.
Yeah. No, they don't need it to fly.
Well, I thought it helped them,
gives
like,
some
steer.
flair to fly. No, that's wrong. It's wrong.
I thought it kept him level.
I mean, the Rocketeer's helmet helps him steer, but Superman steers because he wants to. The cape is just for the good times.
It's just for the looks?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we like the way capes look. And I know we like the way hoodies look. So why can't we just this winter bring back cloaks?
You could probably find one somewhere.
Well, I can tell you, I'm looking at some on Amazon right now.
For men or women, or is it just for anyone?
Nikki, are you familiar with the term? Well, okay, first off, the term is unisex. That's one. Second off, who are you to force gender norms onto my clothing choices?
I'm asking because I could see for women's fashion it'd be more like standard.
Acceptable?
Yeah, more acceptable. And I don't see you going into the fashion world too often, so I didn't know if there's something I didn't know about.
Maybe we need people like me in the fashion world.
You ready
people
to start
that are
that?
willing to think outside the box a little bit. You know, if we went back 100, 150 years, if I showed up in a cloak, people would be like, well, that's a sensible, warm man. And look how dashing he is in that cloak.
But we don't live in that time.
But we could bring it back.
Are you watching too much Sherlock Holmes?
Maybe I am. Frog wants to know why not a Western duster? Because then you just look
is that
like
the long jacket?
Yeah, then you just look like that guy that read too much Stephen King or has seen too many like cyberpunk future whatever.
Well, it cape though. I mean, it would go if you put it like duster length, and then you put the cape, and it was almost like an outfit.
Nikki, do you see what Kristen just texted us?
What did Kristen say?
I have a beautiful vintage black cloak, and it is the warmest, most wonderful coat I could have ever owned, and I love it.
So do you still own it, Kristen? Do you wear it, or is it just something you have in the closet?
See, maybe we
Can Obi borrow it?
Maybe we just bring it out. Maybe I stopped caring what people think. Think about how awesome this is. You're just at the mall, and there's some guy in a cloak, but the thing is, like, he's not being weird. He's got the hood down. He's just walking.
He's not being weird, but just by seeing him, it's feeling weird.
You know what I would think when I saw that man in the cloak?
Why
I would
isn't
think
he
one
flying?
of two things. I would either be like, that man is hiding a gun. That would be my first thought. And then my second thought would be, I wish I had a cloak. I wish I was wearing that.
There's several concerned statements I'd still make before I got to that. Like, there's still several things I'd be wondering about the man.
I want a cloak.
Get
I think I might get one.
No. Don't get one. At this point, it feels like you should be making one.
Kristen says, yes, I do. It's from the 30s. I wear it everywhere. Well, mine's not going to be vintage. It's going to be.
It can be.
It could be.
Could be.
Yeah. Think about how awesome that would be. Me in a cloak. I just walk in here every morning and.
You know what? I'll still support you.
Can you imagine the flare as you walk into rooms and you just.
That'd be hard, but we'll support you.
That feeling when you hear that every school in the state is closed, but yours? Now you know how we feel. It's the worst of the riot on Radio U.
You might have a considerable hole in your Christmas movie marathon. You might be finding yourself like, man, what we really need to do is find ourselves, some Christmas movies. But you know how it is. When you put together that list, of course you want to lean on the old standards. You want to throw in Elf.
It's the classic. It's the main classic.
You want to throw in, I don't know, maybe A Christmas Vacation or A White Christmas. So some of the standards, things that everybody's like, oh, of course, we'll have that one. But what if you want to, like, really freak people out? What if you want to throw in, here it is, The Cabbage Patch Kids' First Christmas?
What's that from?
Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, Christmas in Oz. You want to mix it up, right?
How old are these?
I don't have a date on them right now, Nikki, but I do have this. Wow, Garfield has a lot of animated movies.
I think it's, like, free.
Garfield Christmas. It's not the Jetsons in Robo WrestleMania. I'm looking at Boomerang. Boomerang just sent me an email saying, hey, we'll give you a free 7 days if you'll sign up for our
service.
So it's
Boomerang, though.
So I'm going through. Boomerang does what they call classic cartoons. So I got Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers.
Oh, gosh.
But
like as in the cereal? Oh, no, that's Boo Berry.
Scooby-Doo's Haunted Holidays, which I think is their go at a Christmas movie. But, the Smurfs Christmas, what do you think about that?
These sound not like anything I would ever watch.
Tom and Jerry, Santa's Little Helpers. I know, Nikki, but here's the thing is, I feel like what you have got to do is you're throwing your Christmas movie marathon, and on some level,
I feel
here. I feel like you want to show people that you're not just a sucker for the mainstream.
I could throw these in between different movies.
Okay.
Like that could be like an intermission if you're having a movie marathon.
Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. So you're doing a movie marathon and you segue into like a Peanuts Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah.
Right? And then you do another movie and then you segue into
like a Tom and Jerry.
The toy that time forgot.
Something like that. Or you could pull out one of these old ones.
Shrek Christmas. You know what? The Shrek Christmas is not good.
The Toy Story one is.
The Toy Story one is fantastic. The Smurfs, 'Tis the Season to Be Smurfy.
That's something.
Don't you want to watch that? And Nikki, I got a 7-day free trial here. Now, after that 7 days, it is going to be $5 a month.
$5 a month. I guess I was never into classic cartoons, so none of those sound interesting.
I don't know that I am either, but again, come on, you're trying to impress people with the
how deep you can go
and breadth of your Christmas. All right,
that's deep.
You're like, you know what? You've seen all the Christmas movies. You could have done this marathon at home, but you weren't ready for Cabbage Patch Christmas. People are
Is
like,
that on YouTube? I think I want to find that.
Like, what is that?
Is that the dolls? The ones?
Dolls.
Okay.
I think you can still buy them.
I don't know. Cabbage Patch Kids.
Christmas. I want to know. Oh, yeah, there it is. You can. Oh gosh,
well, it took me a few times to spell cabbage. So
they have to do that
great.
thing so YouTube doesn't get hit. It's like you're sitting in someone's living room watching it on a TV.
It's sped up a little bit.
Oh my gosh, this is
weird. Okay, let's watch it.
The thing is, like, I want to have an ironic viewing party, but I don't think I could. I don't think that I could. Like, I could make my desire for ironic Christmas viewing translate into actual Christmas viewing.
But look, if you go to the right now, you'll see all the ones you were mentioning. You know, like the Smurfs Christmas show, and there's a Rocky and Bullwinkle one. So you can just look there.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, like, there's something there. Like a bunch of weird Christmas specials.
I know there's something there, but you're saying it in like, there's something there where it's like, oh, there's something there.
No, you can have like a weird...
Why don't you have a weird Christmas party?
Because even when I have a regular one, nobody's showing up. So
maybe they come to the weird one.
And everybody wear your cloak.
Remember, if you can just make it through the rest of the riot, then you can probably make it through the rest of the week. And through the next several months. And then it'll practically be Christmas. The Riot on Radio U.
Ask yourself a question. How badly do you want to win? Because I'll tell you what, there are people out there that are invested in Fortnite that want to win more than you do.
They're very driven by it.
Mm-hmm. So you got to start saying to yourself, what am I willing to do? Now, a long-term secret of the pros is that many, many people have done this. All you do is you take yourself a little black marker, and as long as you don't mind drawing on your TV or monitor, you go ahead and you zoom in like your gun so that it's like you're aiming down sights, and you put a little dot in the middle of the TV. And then you can shoot from the hip just like you're aiming down the sights. Oh. And so without ever having to take the time to aim down the sights, you get that little dot
to be the
telling
sight.
You exactly. That's how people are able to use a sniper rifle and, just shoot from the hip.
Sure.
Boom, you're dead, right? So I'm looking at this thing. I'm not saying I endorse it or that I'm going to buy it, but it's an interesting idea. It's called the Hip Shot Dot. And it is this tiny, tiny little LED that is on this tiny little stand that is adjustable.
That you put behind you, like at your TV?
Well, you would put it in front of your TV or in front of your monitor. So you go ahead, you aim down the sights, and then you extend the Hip Shot Dot until it's this little red LED that will kind of float in the middle of your screen, and then you use it as a way to shoot stuff.
In the games?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk price first, then we can judge it.
What do you think? Okay, that was my thought, too. I was like, this thing's going to be so stupid expensive. What do you think?
Is it $29?
$13.
$13? Oh, that's fine.
It just plugs into a USB stick.
Go ahead. That's fine.
No big deal. I did, I've never bought this, but I bought the... they sell them for Xbox controllers, PlayStation controllers, and now that I'm going to mention them, I completely forget what they're called. But they are the analog stick extenders.
To make them taller?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I bought one of those for my PlayStation 4 and Control Freak. That's what they're called. Dude, so worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Those are the little hacks that aren't too much. And if you're into gaming, that's your fun thing, then you might as well make it a more optimized experience.
I don't remember what it was I was playing, but I was playing a game on my PlayStation 4. It was a first-person shooter, having a really hard time. And the idea is with these analog stick extenders, the longer the stick, the finer the control. Mm-hmm. So by extending it, you're able to control it a little bit better. And I did that, and I think I paid $15 or $20 for it. You get them in a pack of 2.
Yeah.
And I just use one for each controller, and I absolutely love it.
You know what this feels like?
What?
These are Christmas gifts.
I know.
They're
cheap
not too
Christmas
expensive.
gifts.
These are like really nice gifts to give to your friends. And if you have a friend who's like, why won't he stop playing Fortnite? Then this might be an actual good gift you'd appreciate.
Yeah. So the Control Freak things I was talking about, those are, you can get those at like Best Buy or whatever. What is this thing called? The Hip Shot Dot? I don't know. You'll have to Google that. I don't know that you can actually buy it in stores. It looks like this is something you have to order online.
It feels online only.
But
I bet you there's different versions of it or different companies selling it.
Yeah, there probably is. But there's a couple of gifts under $20
that's
for
a good
you.
idea.
The Riot.
They hate me. They hate you. They hate us.
Why else would they make us listen to the worst of the Riot? Radio U.
Earlier in the show, we were talking about how, like, over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like we're just being inundated with movies. You've got Into the Spider-Verse. Next week, you've got Aquaman, Mary Poppins, and
Bumblebee.
That's
it. We always forget one out of the list.
And it's always Bumblebee.
Not always. We forgot Mary Poppins last time.
You're right. You're right.
It does change.
But, the other thing that happens, it actually starts tomorrow, or someone's going to be like, no, it starts today. I don't know, like tomorrow, is Once Upon a Deadpool.
The re-release.
That is the re-release of Deadpool 2. It's been cut into a PG-13 movie.
And they had to add a little in the beginning to make the length last. That's when you cut out enough.
Well, you know what? They said that this movie is the same length as the Deadpool 2 theatrical cut.
But didn't they add the part with the one guy from the...
Fred Savage?
Show? Yes, that, in the beginning.
So that whole thing is a parody on, if you've never seen it, it's an older movie called The Princess Bride. I highly recommend The Princess Bride. Very funny.
Maybe more than Deadpool 2.
I don't know. That would be comparing pears to apples.
It's different. They're different.
It's very different. That's not different enough. A chocolate bar to an apple. It's just very different things. But the idea here is, hey, we're doing Deadpool 2, but we're making it a PG-13 movie. So I'm reading up on some of the things they've done. They say they cut the opening sequence out altogether. And then,
it wasn't salvageable.
Well,
for the PG-13.
The Deadpool movies have a combination of, it's not just language, but it's also very graphic violence.
Yes.
So they had to cut the graphic violence as well. And the opening sequence was so graphically violent, they said there was just no way that they could do that. But what they have done is instead they've got this thing with him sitting in the room with Fred Savage, which what's interesting is this guy's review that I'm reading from Superhero Hype, he says that it's the best parts of the movie.
The Fred Savage part?
Yeah, he says that the stuff with Fred Savage is absolutely hysterical.
Is it only in the beginning or does it pop up throughout the movie?
It pops up throughout the movie, though they do say that it is heavier at the beginning than the end. And the idea is that, if you're not grabbing it, Deadpool is telling Fred Savage a bedtime story that is supposed to be the events of Deadpool 2.
Gotcha.
And the other thing, and I didn't even think about this, they were able to eliminate most of the language because throughout the film, you don't see Deadpool's face.
Oh, it doesn't, so you can just remove it.
So they they were able to either completely remove the lines or they just had Ryan Reynolds do a bunch of new voiceover work.
Because I was wondering if instead we'd hear like a bunch of quacks or like different sound effects to cover the language.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Yes, or you'd hear like quack quack or something where they'd make it an obvious joke that that's what you're covering up, or are they just removing it totally? Or are you still knowing what's there?
Apparently not. Apparently they're just pulling it out. Whole cloth.
You could do that.
So the guy, this is the only review I've seen of it so far. He said he didn't think it was worth it. Like he didn't have a very positive take.
This just feels like, if you had extra time and you were such a fan that you wanted to see it, but I don't know. I haven't also seen a lot of push towards this.
Yeah. So one of the things that's interesting is a lot of people think that it is, how do I want to say this? Like they think it's just a cash grab here in the U.S., but they say that in reality, in the U.S., it's quote-unquote a cash grab, but this re-edit will allow them to release Deadpool in a ton of foreign markets
where they're a little bit harder
unable to release Deadpool 2 because of its content. So in the United States, it's like, it comes out for a week or two. Maybe you go see it. But in other countries, it gets to come out for the first time, and they'll make a lot more money that way.
See, behind every decision is money.
Oh, absolutely.
Is money, 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 money.
Anytime anybody uses words like artistic integrity, just remember that's a code word for money.
Money. How can we make, and not just more money now, but looking ahead at the
more money later
franchise and stuff. What can they do to expand it? So that is 100% true.
You're listening to The Riot. Voted #1 morning show. Among toddlers aged 2 to 5. Among people with hearing problems. Among dogs who bark at loud noises. Among relatives of Obadiah. Among people who lie in surveys. The Riot, RadioU.
This is a weird one, but go with me for a minute. I've got a friend of mine. Actually, it's weird. I have several friends now that live in Asia.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're just a bunch of white dudes. Sorry, that's just it. Just white dudes, just plain old whatever. Moved to Asia. And here's what I love. I had a conversation with one of them where he's like, dude, you don't understand. I moved to Asia. He's like, I can date anybody.
Oh,
he's
really?
like, the most beautiful women you can possibly imagine. I'm exotic here. Like, they're so, they love the fact that I'm American and all this stuff. Like, he was, a little too excited about it.
Sure, I get what you're saying.
There's something hilarious about it. But he was telling me about how, like, all of the sudden, where he was just some plain dude that disappears into a crowd, he goes somewhere else and he's seen as totally different than he was in his circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't change at all. It's just that he went somewhere where people saw him differently, right? Here's what I've been thinking about. And again, I said it's weird, but go with me for a minute. That's the way God looks at you. Like some plain old white dude in an Asian... No. But God sees what a lot of people don't see. A lot of times you just look at yourself and you're like, you know what? I'm just some plain old whatever. Nobody cares, whatever. God sees you for the unique person that you are. The things about you that make you you, that so many people just brush past, don't care, don't pay attention to. God sees in you beauty and uniqueness and something that's worth celebrating. And even if the people around you can't appreciate all the great things about you, I want you to know that there's a place you can go where you are appreciated for the exotic, unique individual you are. Like, where do I go? Do I need to move to Malaysia? What? No, you don't have to go anywhere but to where God is. And God's right where you are, okay? Right where you're at. And all you have to do to start a relationship with him is ask. And let him love you. Let him show you how awesome you are. Now, some people would say like, oh, great. Let's talk about how awesome I am. God made you. So his love for you, like he knows how awesome you are. And he's tired of seeing you, kicking your feet in the ground, hating on yourself, whatever. Start a relationship with God and just say, Jesus, I want that. I want you to come into my life. I want you to fill me with your spirit. And I want to know what it's like for you to love me. And man, God does love you. No matter who you are, where you are, or what other people say about you or how they look at you, God loves you just as you are right now.
I know. You hate the Riot. Why are they on the radio?
Stupid. Yeah.
Honestly, we can't trust them with anything else. It's the Riot on RadioU.
All right, Nikki.
Yeah.
Let's go to Jersey City. And me.
Let's go.
Let's go and catch the ferry to the Statue of Liberty.
We can do that.
Now, getting to Jersey City from where we are might be a little expensive, so I've got a plan. On the way, we'll just do a bunch of porch pirating, and we'll sell that stuff on Craigslist as a way to finance our trip.
I know some people, unfortunately, choose that as their way to make money. I feel like that is putting in as much effort as if you would have just gone and got a job. So,
well, but Nikki, this way I get to set my own hours.
Yeah. High five. That's exactly it. And they could set their own porches.
That's exactly right.
You have the freedom in that job where you wouldn't have if someone told you which porch to steal from.
If I don't want to drive over there, I don't have to.
Nope, it's your hours and it's your car and it's you saying that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that. So there in Jersey City, just like everywhere else in the U.S., porch piracy is a problem. And so now the police are involved. The police have teamed up with Amazon. Amazon is actually paying for the materials.
Bringing you free 2-day stealing.
So here's what they've done. They have come up with a bunch of dummy packages.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you're dumb enough to grab them.
Oh, but like decoy ones?
Decoys, yeah. So inside those are cameras and GPS units. And so there are cameras that, like, depending on which area you steal from, they may catch you on camera or they may come and get you via GPS. But basically, police are hosting stings against people that are stealing. And here's what I love. How long do you think it took for the first box to get stolen?
Probably not long at all. Unfortunately, probably not long at all.
3 minutes.
No, really? What is
3
people's
minutes.
problems?
The officer that's heading this up said that it happened so fast that they thought it was actually a mistake. They were like, no. There's no way that this happened already. This is a mistake. Nope.
Well,
that was the first one in 3 minutes.
I used to think porch piracy was just not something that was done maybe where we're at as much. But then I'm a part of an app that's for like all the neighborhoods and including mine that I live in and the surrounding ones. And almost every day you get someone who's messaged, hey, did anybody happen to get a package because it shows it's delivered? It's not there and they're just checking, but it's probably someone just stole it. Mm-hmm. So it does happen to a lot.
It has yet to happen to me at my house, though I did. Well, I think it was 2, maybe 3 Christmases ago. I spent some Christmas money online, had a package delivered where I was staying, and it was stolen off the porch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you had the one that blew away, remember?
That also happened. I found that in
it was down the road.
Yep.
It's like, what happened?
Almost 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I found something down the,
It's like it's in an empty lot.
It totally happened. It was like buried under a tree.
Maybe someone stole it, though, and then felt bad but didn't want to walk back. And so they just chucked it into the yard.
It was such a weird thing where I was like, that looks like a UPS envelope in there. And I remember just being like, you know what?
I bet that's it.
I got to check it because I just have a feeling. And sure enough, that's exactly what it was.
Well, there's nothing much you can do except keep track of when something's supposed to be delivered. And you just are supposed to be around to bring it in.
Try to make
There's
sure
really
you're there
nothing
to get
else
it.
you can do.
Yeah.
This was the worst of the riots, and we'd like to congratulate you on having the stomach to stick around to the very end. The riot exists because Radio U exists, and Radio U only exists because of your support. Find out more and give now at radiou.com/donate.
I'm a flippy. You are flippy.